Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard, entering week 7 in the UFL. So we're on the final little bit. We'll do our predictions for this week, and then we'll have a separate video also where we're doing power rankings, and we are going to give our predictions for UFL MVP because we're over halfway through the season, and some good candidates are sticking out. Smokey, how are you doing?
I am good. For once, I don't have to say the Renegades because even though it a loss, they looked a little better than this other team. I am better than Showboats fans right now. Showboats are horribly bad at this point in time, and it doesn't look like if you throw out Case Cookus or Troy Williams, they're going to be just as bad. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a tough week for them also, even though they're facing a team that is undefeated at this time. I don't know how that's going to turn out for them. But other than that, how are you, Alex?
I'm good. I'm better than almost any fan base in the league. My favorite team is the undefeated Stallions. My second team are the second best Battlehawks. This season could not have gone better for me than it is going at the moment. So far, it is perfect. However, those teams are clashing this week. So, one of them is going to have to take a loss one way or the other. And it feels like this week we have the most polarized schedule we've had for the whole season so far. So how about we check the first one? You already mentioned it, the stinker, the Tank Bowl. Boats at the Renegades here. One win between them.
Oh, man. You are absolutely right. This is the hardest week, I think, of this season to pick because these teams are all evenly matched in their own right. But this one right here, the Showboats and Renegades, you got a team that has one win versus a team that has no wins. I will say this about the Renegades and Luis Perez. He is still the passing yards leader in this entire league. The guy is playing great. The only problem is he doesn't have a team around him that can put up wins. That defense is absolutely horrible. The offensive line is absolutely horrible. And he is making chicken salad out of chicken crap at this point. It's amazing that Bob Stoops is a defensive coach who can't put together a defense. I don't understand why, but maybe it's because he's an Oklahoma man. That's the only explanation I can get for it. John DeFilippo on the other side is not doing very well either. Like I said, if you throw out Case Cookus or Troy Williams, it seems like they're not going to win another single game. It makes you amazed at how they won in week 1 in phenomenal fashion at that. And I think, wasn't it against the Battlehawks too? It's crazy. It's crazy that happened like that. And ever since then, they've been on a downward slide, a downward spiral. It is going extremely bad for them. Darius Victor and Davion Smith on their respective teams were the running backs who carry the load. Doesn't really matter though. You know what? I said I was never going to pick this team again. But it just so happens that the Showboats are their opponents this week. Oh my God. I'm not picking the Showboats, man. Not after that week. I think they have a better chance if they play Case Cookus, but I don't know. Case Cookus looks absolutely horrible last week. Also, they had to bring in Troy Williams. I think they're probably going to start Troy Williams. I'm not sure about that. I think either way they're going to lose, to tell you the truth. I'm doing it. I am going back on my word and picking the Renegades at home for this week. They're going to get their first win of the season.
Get it done and then just stop for the rest of the year, right?
Yes.
Just get the monkey off your back, I guess. So this is the one opportunity you have to do it. You tried against the Roughnecks and it didn't work. And by the way, the Roughnecks were the team that the Boats beat at the start of the season.
That's what
Panthers beat the Battlehawks in week 1. They both scored 18 points, that's why you get a mistake. And so even then, the Boats don't really have a credible win to their name because the Roughnecks are arguably just as bad. Man, this is the worst tank bowl I've seen. If Luis Perez is making that chicken salad, you should just stop trying to garnish up chicken crap and serve it vegetarian.
Yeah.
It will be better for everyone at this point. Man, I don't know how to pick this one, but to be honest with you, I didn't think you were going to because you kind of swore this oath that you would never pick the Renegades again. I was just going to give it to them for being at home. Yeah. Because, like, I've won my bet. The point is home. kind of feel bad for him now. I don't want a team to like go 0-10. That would be very rough, especially after coming off of winning your championship, your conference last year. Yeah, I have to pick the Renegades too. I have to give them this one. This is probably the last reasonable one they really have a good shot at winning. And like you said last week, again, they had a kind of game where, yeah, they were good. They stuck with him, and in classic Renegades fashion, they lost. The kick return, the penalties, just gave it up yet again when they didn't need to against a much better opponent. But I will give them this one. Doesn't matter who quarterbacks the tugboats. Renegades win, they get it done at home, and then we can stop making fun of them, for God's sakes. But on the other hand of this Saturday, we have the game of the year.
Yeah.
The worst game of the year, followed by the possibly best game of the year, and the likely foreshadowing of the UFL championship game. Battlehawks at Stallions.
Wow. This is just as tough to pick for the exact opposite reason, because both of these teams are absolutely on fire right now. Where do I start? A.J. McCarron kind of had an off week last week, but we know that the Roughnecks defense is actually pretty decent. For as bad as their offense is, their defense is actually pretty good, and they kind of took it to the Battlehawks there, but as we know, they don't have enough firepower to beat the Battlehawks. Not many teams do, but here's a team that possibly can, and the undefeated Stallions, the Spring League champions of the universe right here. This is the only team that there's even a conversation about beating the Stallions. And Jacob Saylor's had a bad week last week. Hakeem Butler was having a phenomenal week, but I think he suffered somewhat of an injury. I haven't seen the update if he's going to be able to play or not. But they are hoping so, because although they have Jahcour Pearson, they absolutely need Hakeem Butler if they're going to have a chance at winning this game. On the other side, Ricky Person, C.J. Marable, Kevin Austin was out there. You know what? Adrian Martinez is a phenomenal passer. It's almost the opposite of what I've been saying about this guy, is he's a running quarterback. We saw that twice. We'll talk about Danny Etling later, but two quarterbacks that absolutely went in the opposite direction of their recent trends. But Adrian Martinez is probably going to be the starter for the rest of the season, and who knows, he may put himself into MVP talks after this game if they can pull it off. I feel like whoever wins this game is going to lose the championship, because it's so hard to beat a team twice in a season. And I do feel like these two teams are going to be in the championship game. So I have to give it to the home team right here, which means I think the Battlehawks probably win this entire thing. I just don't think it's going to happen right here, because it's the Stallions. They are in Birmingham. A.J. McCarron is coming off of one of his worst games of the season, although he didn't play that bad. Still one of his worst games. Skip Holtz has an altar and an effigy set up at his house to a certain deity of the dark variety, which gives him wins and wins and wins, and it's going to happen again. I am going with the Stallions at home.
The kind of things you make up whenever a team you don't like is just winning, huh?
Yeah.
Man, you're making it sound like he's like the UFL incarnation of Belichick.
Yeah, pretty much at this point.
Man. Yeah, A.J. McCarron had a great game, and you still, as you said, maybe even not one of his best. So that goes to show you how good he is. Mm-hmm. Now, he should definitely be up there in the MVP conversation, which we'll talk about in the next video. But, man, this is the game we've been waiting for, probably the championship. I'll make it short. I'm taking Birmingham. I'm going with the Stallions. Number one, I picked that team to be my main team, my main favorite team ahead of the season, over the Battlehawks. Secondly, they are at home. Playing it in St. Louis would be a whole other level of difficulty. I think that would probably flip my prediction. And also, Adrian Martinez is the one guy who seems to be able to match A.J. McCarron now in the passing game. And if this becomes the shootout we think it is, with both defenses kind of hurt by injury a little bit. Of course, Stallions are missing Scooby Wright, which is awful, as one of their most important playmakers on defense missing. But if this turns into the shootout we think it will be, with 4 touchdowns on either side, I believe in the Stallions' power to be able to get it done against this Battlehawks offense that seems unstoppable at times. So Stallions at home, keeping the streak alive, staying perfect 7-0. By the way, the Stallions have clinched the playoffs after playing 60% of their games. I don't know if that has ever been done in professional sports, or at least recently. That's incredible. But it has been done. Moving to the Sunday games, we have one that's, I guess, kind of interesting. These are two teams in playoff contention. At the Panthers, at the maybe revived DC Defenders.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Defenders are thinking they are going to be in the XFL championship game. And I can't really doubt that at this point after watching them beat the Brahmas, because the Brahmas were that team who was supposed to play the Battlehawks for the division, right? But the Defenders come away with a win there. And I don't know what to make of it, to tell you the truth. I will say that Alex Ellis was out there, the tight end, and I hadn't seen that name since he was in bouncing around teams in the NFL. He did play with Josh Dobbs at Tennessee back in the day. If you remember that decent little run that Tennessee went on back in 2016. But it's cool to see him out there again. So maybe he can play his way back into the NFL. Who knows? Chiefs, Eagles, Jaguars. He got playing time back in the day. But I was going to mention Danny Etling. I guess he listened to our show last week, because I said this guy has no ability to run. I pretty much said he was a statue out there. I was like, this is the least mobile quarterback in the league, but he's a decent passer. No, he came out there and started running the ball this week. Even the announcers were like, what is he doing? Like, this is not Danny Etling. But he pulled it off. Wes Hills and Matt Colburn carried the load there. And it's still cool to see that Sayosi Mariner and Samson Nakua. It's crazy. There's 2 Nakuas.
There's a lot of Nakuas.
Yeah, there's 2 of them in this league. I thought there was only the one, the defensive guy. But yeah. Samson is out there also. It's crazy. That's what's cool about these spring leagues, is every week you see a new name that you hadn't noticed before. And you're like, wow, he's in here too? After all these weeks, we're still discovering these guys. But yeah, Trey Quinn is probably the second guy outside of Sayosi Mariner now at this point. I'm kind of waffling because I really don't know who I'm going to pick here either. I feel like the Defenders may be making that push. They may actually be making that push. And if they're going to have that chance, they have to get this win, because the Brahmas are facing the Roughnecks, which should be an easy win for them. They have to have this one, and they are at home. I think Jordan Teamu could take them to it, unless Jake Bates, which is probably the real MVP of this league, pulls off another 60-yard something field goal and wins the game at the very end, which he seems to do that a lot. But for now, I will be taking the Defenders at home.
I wanted to disagree with you on a lot of picks this week, but you seem to be taking mine. See, I still have a little bit of dislike remaining from last season for the Defenders. They were the reason the Battlehawks did not make the playoffs, in part at least, in the XFL. Also because they played bad themselves, but they didn't make it, so that's at least part of why I blame them. Now, the Defenders are the most inconsistent team in the league. I mean, they are flip-flopping every single week. I don't know what to think of them. I think Jordan Tamu is probably slightly better, more proven quarterback than Danny Etling, but any given week, looking at him, you can't tell at the moment. And the Panthers seem to get it done when they need to. They look worse than their record almost every week, but they seem to get it done. And against the Renegades, they were losing for the longest time, and I mean, they were down and out. And then a completely crazy sequence of events at the end of the game, last drive, led them to yet again winning it, and then they have a kicker that's just, I mean, he's going to be one of the best kickers in the NFL next year, or this season. Give me the Panthers, though. I don't like the consistency of the Defenders. Yeah, they had a great game, upset the Brahmas, and kept the XFL division interesting, so thank you for that, but it's time for them to have a down game again, and they're going to lose here. They're going to lose at home to the Panthers. The Beer Snake is sad. Brahmas are probably going on to the XFL Championship. Speaking of the Brahmas, they have a kind of wide open door to walk through this weekend, winning in Houston against the Roughnecks. So what do we think about this one?
It's a yeah. If you would ask me before this past week, I would have said, yeah, easily. The Brahmas are easily going to beat the Roughnecks, right? The Roughnecks are really bad outside of their decent defense. They have no offense, and their offensive line is probably the worst in the league. And there's some bad offensive lines in this league for sure. But Quentin Dormady had an absolutely horrible game. I thought maybe he was on this thing where he's going to have one good game, one bad game, and just flip-flop. But no, he's had 2 bad games in a row. And if they're going to stick with Quentin Dormady, this is going to be a game for them because that defense is something that can put it on, and Quentin Dormady is going to go down a lot. So I don't have any faith for Quentin Dormady to do this through the air, regardless if John Terry Kirkland is out there and Cody Latimer. You got phenomenal receiving guys, but you got a quarterback that can't get the ball to him. I've lost all faith. He showed flashes in the past. He showed a little bit of flash last season. He's shown some flash this season. But now, after those 2 games, I've lost all faith in Quentin Dormady. I don't think he's going to be anything. On the other side, though, the Roughnecks have Reed Sinnett. He's not any better, in my opinion. I think Mark Thompson quit the league because of that game last week. I'm pretty sure he quit. I think Mark Thompson.
It sounded like it.
Yeah, I think he's out of the league now. I don't know that he comes back. It's going to be all on TJ Pleasure to get it done at this point. Yeah, so it doesn't inspire confidence on either side here. But I guess I will go with the overall record and say that the Roughnecks are just better at losing than the Brahmas are. But don't have any faith in Quentin Dormady. They should have traded for Luis Perez, and they would definitely be in that XFL division game. But here we are, taking the Brahmas on the road.
Yeah, at this point, that's kind of prophetic. Yeah, the Brahmas with Perez would be a legitimate force, it feels like. As they were with Chase Garbers, by the way. He went down with an injury. And that was a downgrade, undoubtedly, what they're doing now. And it wasn't enough against the defenders. I think 2 things are working for the Brahmas. And one of those 2 things is that their division is, other than the battlehawks, not that strong. I think the defenders are not capable of winning it by themselves, and the Renegades, of course, are already eliminated. So, or I guess not mathematically, but the Renegades are out, okay? So that's what's working for the Brahmas, and also they already have their 4-2 record, and they're playing against the Roughnecks now. They're probably going to win and kind of drag themselves across the finish line with 1 more win over the next 3 weeks following this one, which should be enough at 6 wins. Because they do have to play the battlehawks, so the defenders. But this one is Houston's a mess. I mean, yeah, they can play defense a little bit, but they're not consistent. They don't put pressure on anyone. With Mark Thompson gone, they're not going to run the ball. They weren't able to pass the ball all season. The Brahmas have no choice but to win this. And if it's only on the shoulders of the running game, that's fine. They probably have the best running back in the league right now. Just keep running the ball. San Antonio gets it done here. Go to 5-2 and probably push themselves over the line. So we agreed on all but 1 game here. The defenders. I ended up taking the Panthers in the last second.
Yes, you did.
That was the one. And one thing I forgot to ask before we did the predictions. Our standings from last week.
Oh, man, I did not want to talk about that. Because sounds
like it's looking good.
Yeah, you gained another point. And the reason was Quentin Dormady. That is the absolute reason. You somehow...
That's the reason.
Yeah.
That's right.
There was no reason for the defenders to win that game. But like I said, they are coming out of that game with a little bit of momentum. So there's that, and that's why I went with the defenders this week. But Quentin Dormady absolutely lost that game. For me, the Brahmas should have easily won that game, in my opinion. But this changes everything for the momentum of both of those teams there. 3 on the week for me. Again, 4 on the week for you. You have 2 weeks back-to-back of getting all 4 right.
Man.
Total 14 for me, 19 for you. We need more disagreements than this if I'm ever going to catch up, though.
Yeah, we need more in the last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can make it 3 perfects in a way. I think you need to have this one. You need to have the defenders this week.
Yeah.
If not,
unless we disagree on
6 points in 3 weeks
going forward.
Yeah, we can do this thing where I go first, or we take turns going first on games from next week on, so it's like more fair.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do that.
I really thought.
So that's our predictions.
I really thought you were going to disagree with me a lot on this week here.
Yeah, I did on the Panthers. That's the only one.
One game. Yeah, I thought maybe you would take the Showboats and.
The boats, yeah. No, I would have given the Renegades their one way. Maybe that's my downfall. Maybe I should have picked the boats. But I can't do it. That is our predictions for Week 7. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you have any particular opinions? Foreshadowing maybe for the championship game. Do you think the Brahmas defenders, that seems to be like the hottest remaining race probably for the next 3 weeks? So let us know what you think about it. Let us know your predictions. So drop us a like. And we're going to see you in the next video where we discuss MVP and power rankings. See you then.
Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's 4th down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard.